too far. So.
Mm-hmm.
That's still, I mean, time takes ages.
Yeah, like
It's
you.
the depressing thing when you get older. And I know, and it's an entirely mathematical principle that basically, as you get older, each like day and week is a smaller percentage of your life. So as you get older, suddenly when you were like 3 or 4, and like a week felt like a year,
Yeah.
suddenly a week starts feeling like a day. And yeah, it is so quickly.
Yeah.
You're just at peak coming into your 8th of August deadline, because this is going to be the first one that suddenly jumps up at you, I think. What day is it today? 27th.
27th, and next Thursday is 6th. We know that we have here something. So yeah. Sabrina, are you here?
No.
Oh, Rafif is
Yes.
missing.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah. What about Rafif?
Uh,
We're talking about the internet.
let me chat with her.
She probably went flat.
Yeah. You're also working hard, probably, all these days. And what was that presentation on Friday that you mentioned, Yushu? Was it relevant to your thesis?
Yeah, it's the like a meeting between our students, and we have to present about like what we did so far and what the topic is about.
And that's excellent. We need to do that now. You just repeat that. Hi, Rafif. We just heard that you had a presentation. I mean, the day and on Friday you had to present all of you what you have done so far, and I just said to you we should actually hear what you presented. Then, what do you say?
To be honest, I just shared like what I did so far with the data collections on Friday. So
Okay.
Same.
yeah, I think I
Same.
didn't have much to say, to be honest.
Okay.
I'm hoping this week, like, I would probably start writing and organizing my data into the dissertation. So I was thinking maybe I could have another meeting with you within Thursday or Friday.
Yeah. Friday, I have to check. We have a very important meeting on Friday. So either before or either afterwards. I think it's 11.
That's better.
Yeah. It probably, I think it's 10 a.m. your time. So after, actually, maybe it will be like this. Probably from 11 a.m. and later. So yeah. So yeah, maybe Friday, because on Thursday I asked Victor, so probably we'll have on Thursday Victor also in the morning.
Accepted, don't you?
Yes, I just posted on the Discord.
Oh, I didn't see the Discord yet.
We are accepted for another paper. That's migraine paper, but it's actually completely. I mean, it's not totally completely different with what we shared you, but it's a little bit different. So we decided to make another publication. But you see, our work is accepted by the journals, estimated journals. So yeah.
Okay. Let's. I think.
So yes, Rafif, please. Then we are finished with Rafif. So until Friday, please make sure that you put everything.
Well, what I want to quickly move on. We spoke with Rafif on Friday, and we were talking about getting this R markdown stuff. So I think this is it's not just Rafif that has to. It's all three of them.
Yes.
To get their rights sorted.
Yes.
So did you have time to meet and discuss the R markdown that we went through with Rafif on Friday?
No, because it was over the weekends and everyone is just busy.
Everybody ran away.
Sorry to interrupt. I was wondering, because I also have a meeting with my internal supervisor from UCL last week, and he was saying like I have to generate data this week to show him because he said I was really behind. So I was wondering if we can. I know like there's like big part of my project is for data like collecting, but I was just wondering, is it possible to run the data for what I'm collecting so far, just to so that I can show?
We should do this as soon as possible as a call to talk through what you need to do, but I think that's better on a one-on-one. What I would suggest on this, so on Friday, as we were talking to Rafif, we kind of gave like some very basic R Markdown training, and I think that's probably the best thing to do to start is because the three of you can work like together, I guess, can't you? In terms of coming in, it's reasonably easy for you three to get together as the three of you.
Yes, you can meet.
My suggestion would be
you should explain
today, tomorrow, today. So Sabrina, in terms of actually generating your data, you will very, very quickly get like basic results. In terms of putting it together. The hard part is building the model, but I think what we need to do, but actually building the model, you need the writing and the documentation of what you're going to do first. But I also I appreciate from your supervisor's perspective that he wants to see kind of data generated, because particularly as we were talking about with the MapReduce and the other things that we do, a lot of what you guys are going to be doing isn't something that they've seen before. So I can understand why he's nervous that it may be very difficult to build and generate the model. So my suggestion is over the next get together as much as you can over the next 3 days. We went through with Rafif on Friday on using our Markdown to do the text and tying that in with generating the results with the referencing and actually doing the write-up of your report, so that all three are kind of integrated into this single, really easy to edit document. And it's really important that you get your kind of thesis draft and things together. So I would suggest kind of today, Tuesday, Wednesday, get together as much as you can and start getting set up on that, so that you each have your own folder with starting to get the structure in. When's this meeting with your supervisor for the seeing results generated? When does he want to see?
He was saying for Thursday, so this Thursday.
He was saying for Thursday.
Yeah.
So what I would suggest on that, get what you want to do between now and Wednesday. What you want to do between now and Wednesday is get into our Markdown as much as you can. All the theory on how you tie in, and what you're and with some examples of numbers in terms of a disease, 2 symptoms. It is Sabrina I'm talking to, isn't it? Sorry.
Yes, Sabrina.
Yeah, or the disease to the symptoms to actually get inequality. So as much, it doesn't have to be like absolutely perfect in every single way. It just wants to be a very kind of early draft of, we have this disease. How do we say these are the symptoms that are associated with that, to this is the disutilities that are associated with those symptoms. To get as much as you can together on Wednesday, we should then do a one-on-one on Wednesday afternoon for you to present that. So I would do it as both a document and a presentation.
What presentation was what you were talking about?
So what I would say with the presentation is the presentation wants to be 5 or 6 slides that just captures that you can just in 5 or 6 slides, 10, 15, no more than 10 minutes, just on a kind of really boil down everything we've talked about to a 5-10 minute presentation of and you can hide. You can. The thing is, you don't need to explain everything within that presentation. You don't need to go into what is a QALY, what is a symptom, what is a disutility. It's a 10-minute presentation, assuming you are talking to people who know at least as much as you do generally, but just present it as the methodology kind of approach. So what you've got with your documentation, any kind of interesting things you've found in terms of, like we had those different disease, we broke them into these different disease categories.
Yes.
So
would you mind?
So take it.
Oh, sorry. sorry.
Go.
I just want to show if I can show you like a little bit of like my Excel file right now, just to make sure I was doing the right thing. So like I don't have to like do an further.
Describe. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can I just show it real quick?
Yeah. Please.
Okay.
Hello.
Is it? Can you see it now?
Yeah.
So basically, this is like the part for hearing loss so far, and I kind of categorized with like the document and just like the status. I'm not sure if there's more I have to be aware of. It's just like kind of the baseline and
Fantastic.
yeah.
Absolutely the right approach. And this is what I was saying. Because you have this on hearing loss, pick specifically on hearing loss, and you can see within this on the utilities kind of how much they vary.
Yeah. I think one thing I was specifically want to ask was like, I think within the document they have very like a lot of different like scenario or circumstances. I try to capture as much as I can, but I'm not sure is there like some part I should be more emphasize or should be more focusing on, because I think
specifically the symptoms. So what you want to kind of pull out from this within the hearing loss, and this is a really kind of good place to start. Having this is why, because hearing loss is very nicely tied in together. From you have hearing loss, how much hearing loss do you have, what determines these utility numbers that you've put on the right hand side. That publication that's just accepted, does it have the QALY distribution stuff in it?
Some have like
sorry, 1 second, Sabrina. I'm just asking Tanya something about them.
No.
Was that dropped in the end from the publication? No, we did. We did that beta distribution with the.
No. It doesn't.
It doesn't have that. Okay, so what I would say from this with regards to the scenarios and the outcomes is what you want to try and do within that is characterize. What I would say is how often those symptoms and what drives those outcomes happen within the population. So what they would so for example, if they have complete hearing loss, I guess within this what a lot of it is looking, for example, at gain in terms of using different instruments. So what you have within hearing loss is you have the hearing loss without health care, and then what you have is and that's on a range. So depending on how severe that, how old you are and how what kind of background you're from, and you have this impact of the hearing loss on your quality of life. And then a lot of these others that you have in this list are how much that brings you back to what you would expect to be.
Does that mean, sorry, I just want to make sure I understand it correctly. Does that mean, like, for example, I think the document doesn't really say much about like the severity towards like the treatment. It's like more of like they will give me utility with different severity, but it doesn't really say like, for example, the severity plus treatment and how much the utility change. It doesn't offer everything. So for like this one,
So they're implied from those numbers. So I can see with as you've got each of that column O you have in there with that 0.412, 0.066, for example. Each of those references should have either in the document or its references kind of a detailed explanation of where that number comes from.
Yeah.
So what I would suggest for Wednesday is focus purely on the hearing loss for the moment, and again, it doesn't. The thing with this and with the model building, it's not that it needs to be, particularly for the moment, it's not that it needs to absolutely represent exactly everything you've seen in these publications. What you want to be able to say is, we expect this impact on quality of life with this distribution for hearing loss. We expect these technologies to bring that back towards what the normal would be.
Yeah.
I also found, 1 second, I don't know if I posted this on the stuff, but I did do last week some stuff on our old quality model. Did I post it on, did I actually post that on Discord? Where's your Discord, Tanya? I don't know if I did, and if I didn't, I need to find it. I think Sabrina. Right, that's here. Let's very quickly see if I can. No, it's not there. 1 second.
You should, while we are waiting for Mark, probably also we need one meeting one-on-one. So when you feel comfortable for that meeting.
What will the meeting be about?
You need to start writing, and as Rafif and Sabrina are just talking that they need a meeting, what you have started, that we check if it's fine, and if you are on the right way. I don't know. Actually, we will continue talking with you after this conversation with Sabrina. Think about that, please.
Okay. Yeah, and like I have a question. So, actually, I have two questions. One is I can't open the 3K file as I mentioned in the group.
Yeah. Okay. We might stay a little bit longer after this meeting. Okay. Let's hear Mark.
I just didn't post it on the Discord. Sorry about that.
Yeah, please explain, Mark. What did you post?
So that I just posted on the Discord. Just to find the slide. This is what we used as the baseline for. This is what we used as the baseline for Quali in the existing Quali model. So, but effectively, what this gave was what you would expect in absolute terms. EQ5 Quali, what you would expect Quali to be by age
sex, and BMI. Absent other symptoms. So effectively, this is like the starting point. So if you're a 75-year-old male in normal weight, without any other kind of specifically identified disease and symptoms, what would you expect the EQ? What would you expect the quality to start to be before you start subtracting the effective symptoms? And this is just like the effect of kind of aging. This is just like general aging effects and the impact of BMI on those kind of like general kind of different aspects of impacts of quality of life. So this is how we started at this before. So I think for yours, this is also a reasonable starting point to say, okay, we have this table. I have this already as an Excel file as well, so I can give you this as this table as the table that's in this that's important, that lets you say, okay, I have a 75-year-old male that's normal weight. What would I, with no disease, what would I expect their quality of life to be? And then, okay, I've got someone now one of these that has migraine. What's the impact of migraine? Or one of these that has hearing loss. And actually, from these, I think that's a nice starting place for giving you something you can work with before you start thinking about, are you actually modeling, putting these things together? Because obviously one of the things with aging is, and of the numbers that are in this that fall as you get older, is the symptoms that are associated with being older that are dropping it down. So fundamentally, you don't have, you can probably do like as you get older, developing the symptoms recreation of this. But for the moment, to start with this, to concentrate on hearing loss and say, okay, from the hearing loss, how does hearing loss translate into an impact on quality of life in terms of its impact on the different domains that are measured on as quality of life? Get that in, spend as much time as you can getting that into and realistically, what you should end up with is just a very straightforward, for example, starting at an absolute value of 0.8, we subtract this much for the hearing loss and we add this much because they have a hearing aid.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So start with that on the hearing loss. Get as much of that kind of written. If you can do more and beyond hearing loss before Wednesday, absolutely go ahead with that. Don't, if you feel like you've kind of reached the point, don't get too hung up on you will find within these it's like a bottomless pit. If you can focus on any one element of this forever. You have to be quite strict with yourself with, okay, I have this number makes sense, I understand what this number means, I can justify why I've used this figure, that's what I'm doing, and move on to the next one.
I just want to make sure, is there like certain like category or like I should be noted for? Because from now I've just let me show you again for the Excel file. Sorry, just a minute. So for now I have basically I have like the utility gain and utility lost, like this utility and like just without any like aids, without any treatment, and this is this, and like there's also like comorbidity with cancer, then if they mention I will put it on, but like but normally with some documents they only have like they don't only say like the severity of, like they only mention about like populations and all that. Is that okay if like some like it's not like empathy and some was like with like,
yes. So the thing with this is your justification for you use. So for example, I look at this straight away and say, okay, if I had a child, and so you have this kind of like baseline and less than 4 years and time since treatment. So your baseline is similar to I just gave you for the quali with EQ5 with BMI, age, and sex. So I can look at that and say this is a child with no cochlear implant. We'd expect to have a utility of 0.421. That is where we would expect them to start. Now that can be then expressed as a disutility because we have what we would expect the quality of life to be in a child with no other diseases, which in that case is probably going to be like 1. So the disutility of that is 0.58. Sorry, 0.58. So 0.58 disutility from the hearing loss. So so what you have there is like one specific estimate for the disutility associated with hearing loss when you don't have the cochlear implant, because it's taken you from full health down to 0.421. So that was a 0.579 disutility from baseline. It's pure that was associated with that hearing loss. And the step I would take after that is to explain in those domains why it's a 0.579 disutility, and maybe one or two others to say to for that quantification to say is that a normal expected 0.579? You just say a child with, and also within that, does it change for adults? So if you're saying a 50, that, the thing with these, because it's a 1, you can talk it as a percentage loss. So you've lost 58% of your quality of life with there. Is it the same if you're an adult? Well, what you can see with there is it's actually worse. It's not as bad when you're an adult. Children suffer from it worse. So you can say, okay, if it's a child, it's slightly bigger impact. Or maybe, and this is one of the things with to look to what Yushu was talking about, is 0.433 actually the same as 0.421? Are they meaningfully different numbers, or is it just noise and uncertainty that you've got from the measuring of the patient?
So as for now, like the model building, is there like a format like I should like follow? Because I'm not sure, like I kind of
so what I would say is get for Wednesday as much of this as we've just talked about specifically for hearing loss, any others that you can, into a document for Wednesday, and we will I think, have we got anything booked in on Wednesday, Tanya? Let's do a one-on-one on Wednesday afternoon. We'll build the model in alone for what we have with National Health Model. What you have from that text, I will build you an example template that lets you run that on the Wednesday afternoon. It'll take like an hour, 2 hours to get something up and running, and then you can take what you've done with your text, that example, running the model and doing it with these patients to take it through for the rest, and then you've got for your Thursday, this is what it looks like in terms of generating these numbers, and I think you should be fine with that.
Just one more question. So for when I was building the Excel file, I was wondering, is it okay for me to, for example, adding like some note at the back, or you have to be like pure number, like this column to be like just pure number, and like stating like it's gaining or losing at the other column, so like it will be easier for later on to run the analysis?
So what I will say with this is the main thing that's important for you with this document at the moment is you can find something you're looking for. So when the conversation comes up, for example, what about someone who, when the conversation comes up on hearing loss of, for example, what about if they are, what's the difference between being completely deaf and completely deaf with nobody to help you versus having deaf but hearing normally with a hearing aid?
Yeah,
you can hear.
Yeah, it's here. Just like the
so I know it's there, but what I was saying is the important part for this document is when a question comes up like that, a bit like I just did with this PDF document, when something comes up where you're like, oh, I need this, you know how to use this to find it.
Okay.
And that you've seen it and that you're familiar with it. That's really the best process for these kind of documents. So for some of them, you will find as you come to build the model from this will end up being like your general reference as we build the model, and you see what the model, exact numbers you exactly need for how you build that model. That will end up being your Excel file that you reference, that you just fill in with numbers, and then as you fill that in, you'll get more detail, and the model will give you it will give you more and more results as you build out that data. But for the moment, we just need to get to the theory, get all the theory down, get this how you're going to translate the symptoms into a quality of life loss, into a document written up with everything you found and kind of some good things you think are good examples on that, and how, and if you've got any examples, if you've got an example of how, for example, you know, if you have something good on something like BMI versus I don't know, cardiovascular disease. So what happens if you're obese and versus have cardiovascular disease, or cardiovascular disease and not obese, or if you have both of them, if you have kind of some way of connecting those together in terms of this impact on quality of life, get as much of that down into your documentation as possible, and then Wednesday afternoon, let's do it. Let's sit down, do an hour, and I'll do a kind of like basic. Try and get that down in our Markdown. If you get that down in our Markdown as well, then we can set up on, I can work from that to show you how to generate the model to spit your results out.
Okay. Okay. So. So one more thing, like for the, I don't really quite understand. For example, like if that's the baseline, is there any other, like for example, look back to the document. Basically, they're just stating this fact, or like they have this like severity is like slightly different. I'm not sure.
But that severity is an even better one. So actually, for that severity, I would actually say that's almost your hearing loss done, unless. But you see, that severity, one of the things we were just talking about, for example, is, does it make a difference if you're a child or an adult?
I think they only mention that, but like when it's like into like the actual utility loss, utility gain, they didn't really say, like they didn't do like, for example, like use this severe or profound. They didn't differentiate like which type they use. They just like, this is like the supplement data they offer.
Yeah. So what would generally happen for that, for example? The reason this is baseline child 0.421 utility is that is a mix of those numbers. So looking at this, it's going to be most people are moderate and severe, and you've got some that bring it back up from that you've got a small percentage of so most people are moderate and profound, and some people are severe, and that brings it back up. So what you end up with what you're looking at on that 421 all the time is averages of those numbers. So you will have some people. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, because I think they mentioned they just like take like the mean value of this two and just like to become like here. So when. So
exactly. So what you're looking at so a lot of what you have on there, what you're interested in on this is that far right hand table, and that's pretty much all you need for hearing loss, unless there's something else that's important that defines the severity of the disease into a utility, and that realistically is to think of that as a disutility rather than a utility. And why? Because what you can then say is, okay, you have this disutility, and really the question you need to think about and look at, for example, is what happens if, you have this. If you just scroll back over to your utility table, right? So I think this, this is a good example of where this is a good starting place. I can give you the numbers for why this is interesting. So these as disut, and if you just put to the right 1 minus those utilities, so on column X, if you just go to column X.
Here.
Yeah, just on, so X4, just do 1 minus, disutility, and just do 1 minus column W in that column, just so you can see those numbers. Right. So you have these as a disutility of, if you have severe hearing loss, you're losing 0.38, 40% of your quality of life from severe. And that moves to 65% for profound hearing loss.
So maybe like...
These are disutilities. So one of the examples is just because you have hearing loss doesn't mean you can't also have severe migraine.
Yeah.
So the disutility of a severe migraine is, for example, a 0.9 of the day of the migraine is, say, for example, a 0.9 QALY loss. And the migraine aspect is in a completely different symptom group. It's not that there's any crossover between profound hearing loss and the pain and inability to do things associated with migraine. So how do you combine those two to say, okay, this is what we would expect? This is how we would estimate migraine in a profoundly deaf patient. Does it make the situation worse? Does it make it better? But other than that, you have these disutilities, and the question is, a lot of people. There's two approaches. If you look at them at percentages, for example, you can multiply them together. So but realistically, they are not percent. They're not actually percentages. They are actually disutilities of this whole utilitarian approach. So the idea is you sum them together. But for example, part of that disutility of being profoundly deaf is, for example, its impact on your usual activities. Which migraine also impacts your usual activities. So if you look at it if you look at that disutility from its impact on the domain, then you can start to think about kind of in terms of the results of, okay, these are both having a similar effect on usual activities. So actually, it's not an add or subtract in usual activities. It's the same usual activities, but actually the profoundly deaf doesn't have pain associated with it, but migraine does have pain associated with it.
So is something I can note like this will do the...
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly like
Perfect.
that.
Oh, okay.
Where they do it. Yeah.
But I think,
so yeah. I hope that's clear.
Yeah, just one more question towards the domain part, because when I was looking into the domain, some doesn't really clarify very clearly. It could kind of just saying like, for example, with this kind of hearing loss, they all have this type of, they didn't really differentiate like between different severity. They didn't really say much about like the domain's difference, but I tried to keep note of like what this will affecting on. I'm not sure.
Yep.
But like we should supposed to like ideally find like if different severity or with different treatment, how like the domain have been affected, like what kind of symptoms wise.
Yeah, symptoms and their relationship with the quality of life domains, and I would look at those specifically from the EQ5D domains. So these five within EQ5D. So you can have this kind of what they've put, then link that to the EQ5D type domains that you can and then just within your documentation, just write down the approach you're going to take for it. It's really with the actual kind of what you will see within this is, and this is kind of this whole process. What you will see when you come into this is, this is the approach you were doing for your thesis to generate results like that. The next kind of stage of this, and I think actually where we kind of move on to publications, is to check, is the validation of it. Does it actually work? Does it do a good job of estimating different patient groups' quality of life? And what you will find then within that is, in some circumstances it does a really good job, in other circumstances it's lacking, and then the next part of the scientific process is to say, okay, what can we do to make it better in this area? But for your model and for this, just very much as much effort as you can in terms of defining how these interact with each other, and then we'll build the model to produce results that lets them interact with each other in that way.
So for result wise, it's supposed to come up like if we have like hearing loss and plus some disease already in the national health model, and they'll come up like utility value, but in terms of like how we validate this, like maybe we need to find like a publication towards like similar.
Well, what I would actually say we'll probably do with this, and this is one of the other things that's really important for this documentation, for example, is you will when you have the model, you will be able to say, maybe you find a publication that's looking at something in a cochlear implant or a diabetes patient group, for example, and then we say, okay, we've estimated all this quality of life for our UK population. Mm-hmm. If we select from that the patient group in this publication, is their average quality the same as the one that was in this publication? Or alternatively, within your model, if you have specific numbers that are taken to take out, but for the validation is not absolutely necessary for your thing. For your thesis and the rest, you do want some very basic, but you don't need to go into the level of detail that, for example, Rafif is doing. And you just pick a few to say this one works, this one doesn't, or even if it doesn't work, it doesn't work because these are the reasons why. And this is where you do with your
discussion.
What you do in terms of your like limitations and discussion and kind of where it works.
Okay.
And realistically, what you want to find is one place it works, one place it doesn't, and say these are the differences between them, and merit on your thesis sorted.
Okay.
Yushu, the floor is yours.
Yes.
How are you doing? How's it going?